You ever find yourself completely overreacting to something tiny and you just have no idea why? Or maybe you feel this weird sense of dread when things are actually going great. Well, it turns out a lot of our most confusing reactions as adults, they aren't random at all. They're actually echoes from our past. They're survival skills that we built as kids that, well, just never got the memo that the danger is over. So in this explainer, we're going to dig into where those echoes come from and, most importantly, what you can do about them.
Right? This question right here is a big one for so many of us. You work so hard to build a life that's calm, that's stable, and when you finally get a moment of peace, some part of your brain is just waiting for the other shoe to drop. But listen, that feeling, it's not a flaw. It's a clue. It's a clue that your nervous system learned a very, very different definition of normal a long time ago.
And this feeling, it pops up everywhere. I mean, does any of this sound familiar? That tiny mistake at work that makes your stomach drop because you're sure you're getting fired. Or when someone gives you a nice compliment and your first thought is, okay, what do they want? Even just trying to rest can feel wrong, uncomfortable, like you're supposed to be doing something. These aren't just little personality quirks, they're patterns. And those patterns have a story. So, where on earth do these patterns come from? Well, the answer is actually found in the incredibly brilliant mind of a child. What feels like a struggle for us as adults actually started out as an ingenious survival kit put together by a kid who's just trying to make it through. To get this, we have to talk about something called toxic stress. Now, a little bit of stress is good for us, right? It helps us learn, but toxic stress is a whole different animal. Imagine a smoke alarm that goes off and just never stops blaring. For a kid in a really chaotic or scary home, their brain gets flooded with stress chemicals, and it stays that way. Without a safe adult to help them calm down, it actually rewires the architecture of their brain as it's growing. And what I love about this is the word brilliant, because that's what these strategies are. A child in that situation doesn't know their brain is being rewired. They just know their world feels scary, and they have zero control. So with no power and no way out, they figure out these incredible ways to manage a totally unmanageable situation. And these strategies usually fall into three main toolkits. First, there's the danger scanner. You get really good at reading a room, sensing moods, and noticing tiny shifts in tone of voice. Second, you might have the peacemaker toolkit. You learn how to keep everyone else calm, often by putting your own needs and feelings way on the back burner. And third, there's the invisibility cloak. You learn how to make yourself small, quiet, and unseen to just stay off the radar. These weren't bad habits, they were essential tools. Okay, so here's the twist. Here's the whole point. The very things that saved you as a child can end up sabotaging you as an adult. The skills that were once a genius asset can become a kind of glitch in your adult operating system. Let's break it down. Think about that first skill, constant vigilance, always scanning for danger. As a kid, that was your job. Your nervous system was working overtime to keep you safe. But today, in a world that's mostly safe, that same skill, that same feature, now shows up as a glitch, chronic anxiety. It's that feeling that you can never, ever truly relax because that part of your brain is still on duty, searching for threats that just aren't there anymore. Or how about being the peacemaker, the kid who learned, if the adults around me are happy, then I'm safe. You got amazing at reading people and managing their feelings. A brilliant social skill, right? Well, as an adult, that same skill becomes a pattern of constant people-pleasing. You're so busy making sure everyone else is okay that you completely ignore what you need, what you feel. You might not even know what you want anymore because you've been focused outward for so long. And finally, that disappearing act. As a kid, making yourself invisible was a genius move. You learned not to take up space, not to be a bother, and it kept you out of harm's way. The adult glitch, though, it's this deep disconnection from yourself. You might feel kind of empty or just not really sure who you are, because for so many years, your survival literally depended on not having a self. So, we've got these patterns, these glitches, but underneath all of that, there's often a much deeper, more painful wound that we have to talk about, and that wound is shame. You see, a little kid's brain is naturally egocentric. That's just a fancy way of saying they think everything is about them. So when bad stuff keeps happening around them, their brain can't go, oh, the adults in my life are struggling. No, it draws a much simpler and more heartbreaking conclusion. This is happening because of me. I must be bad. And it is so, so important that we understand the difference between guilt and shame.
They are not the same thing. Guilt is about your actions. It says, I did something bad. And honestly, guilt can be useful. It can push you to apologize or fix things. But shame is about your identity. It doesn't say you did something bad. It says you are something bad. It's an attack on your very core. This quote just nails it. Guilt says you made a mistake. Shame says you are the mistake. And that feeling that there is something fundamentally broken and wrong with you, that can become the quiet, painful soundtrack to your entire life.
Okay, I know. Hearing all this can feel really heavy. But I promise, the point here is not to say that you're stuck. It is the absolute opposite. Understanding the why behind your patterns is the very first step to changing the how. It's about making the shift from just surviving to actually thriving. And this isn't just some nice idea. It's backed by serious science. The huge Adverse Childhood Experiences study, the ACEs study, looked at more than 17,000 people, and it found a direct, undeniable link between tough childhoods and struggles in adult life, everything from mental to physical health. So if this stuff is resonating with you, believe me, you are so far from alone. But this right here is the most important message of all. Your childhood wiring is not your destiny. Because of this amazing thing called neuroplasticity, we know that the brain can change. Think of it like a muscle. You can build new pathways, create new habits, and literally rewire the old programming at any age. The old patterns are strong, for sure, but they are not permanent. So if we could boil this all down to one thing, it's this. If you struggle with these patterns, it does not mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're weak or flawed. It means you have a highly advanced survival system that did its job perfectly. It kept a little kid safe. The only problem is, it's running on outdated software. It just hasn't been updated for your new, safer reality. So really, the question isn't whether you're strong enough. I mean, you've already proven that 1,000 times over. The real question is this. The child part of you survived. They showed incredible strength, and they got you here. They did their job. Isn't it time to finally let them rest and let the adult you've become truly thrive?